Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels. My co-host today is my wife, Kelly, sitting in Tyler's
Hi.
chair because every once in a while we convince her by getting one of her favorite cartoonists to come on. The last time you heard from her, we had Hillary Fitzgerald Campbell. Today we have Landis Blair. Landis, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm well. For our podcast listeners, I have to tell everybody that Landis is sitting in a wonderful studio with all sorts of stuff framed on the wall that looks amazing, and in a bow tie, which I love that on a Sunday early afternoon, sitting in his studio, he's wearing a bow tie. Um, is that a
Uh,
normal thing? Did you do it for us? Talk to me about the bow tie because I am a fan of bow ties. Kelly
okay.
knows this. I wore one. I wore one to our wedding for a
Oh,
while
okay.
at least. I'm
That's
not overall a fan of ties, but as much as I'm a fan of ties, I'm a fan of bow ties.
well. I hope I don't disappoint you to say that the tie wasn't for you, but
That
it,
no, that doesn't disappoint me at all. That's even cooler.
okay. It's a daily occurrence. So, uh,
Okay.
but yeah.
So even when you're just sitting home alone
No, I should say.
drawing.
So, I mean, sometimes,
Okay.
especially more in the winter. But it's more if I ever go out of the apartment kind of thing. It's like my safety. Uh,
Okay.
so if someone confronts me on if I don't have a bow tie on, I feel like I'm naked. So
Okay. I get that. I wear a baseball cap everywhere. It's
okay,
the
yeah, it's
same
the
reason.
same.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely same reason.
That's
I
right.
totally get and respect that. That's cool.
Uh,
And now I just because I'm a little autistic and have to know everything, what was the genesis of it being a bow tie?
I I was working at an art gallery in Chicago after graduating, and I mean this was probably 15 or I don't know, probably, closer to 20 years ago. It doesn't matter, but and
Right.
so I was wearing a tie every day, like a long tie for the job. I wasn't required to, but the director did, and I was kind of trying to imitate him and was having fun with it. And then after a while, my mom uh, she decided, I don't know what gave her the idea, but she made me a bow tie, or I think a relative had gave her a pattern, and she thought, oh, I Landis might like that, and so she made me one, and I really liked it, and so she started making me more,
Oh,
um,
wow.
and then
So they're even at least some of them handmade by mom bow ties. It just keeps getting cooler, Landis. I'm
well,
loving this.
it's going to take a harsh turn that I don't have any more that my mom made, and I
Uh,
think she was a bit hurt when I stopped asking her because I at some point realized that the quality was not. I didn't know how to quite tell her that I graduated from her bow ties.
you graduated from her bow ties and now needed
Well,
quality bow ties.
yeah, they were because they were. I mean, it was great because she would let me just pick out fabric. So I'd go to the fabric
Right.
store and I'd buy like a quarter of a yard of fabric, and she'd make it. But because it wasn't fabric meant for a tie, it didn't they didn't tie very well, and
Mhm.
they would either look kind of awful or they would be they'd be hard to control, and so it was only later that I realized how yeah, an actual bow tie that's made to be a bow tie from the fabric, it makes a big difference. So,
And she didn't decide that she wanted to like become a bow tie extraordinaire. I don't even know what you call that. What do you call that
yeah,
person who makes bow ties?
I have no idea. Yeah, but so she kept asking for a while, but
I mean, I guess it would be kind of a limited market.
it would be. I mean, there are some companies that just do bow ties or primarily, so uh, she could specialize, I suppose. But
I mean, you got you and Paul Simon passed away, and the guy that we don't like stopped wearing a bow tie, so they became cool again. So
wait, which guy you don't like?
Tucker Carlson used to wear a bow
Oh, did
tie.
he? Oh, I didn't remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
In like his CNN day, when John Stewart took
yeah.
took him out, he was wearing a bow tie.
Oh, I didn't.
In fact, that wound up being part of the part of Stewart's skewering.
Oh, okay, okay.
When Tucker just couldn't figure out that John was being serious, not funny.
Okay.
It became, you're a 35-year-old in a bow tie.
Oh, okay, okay. That is funny.
I've always wondered if that's part of why he finally decided, and he never looked good in one. So, I mean, you make
Oh,
it work. Paul
well,
Simon made it work. Some
Bill
people,
Nye, he's another one that
oh, that's right. Bill Nye wears a bow tie. Yeah,
makes it work.
yeah. No, a bow tie with the right face, the right set of glasses. I think you almost need glasses to make a bow tie work well.
I think you're right. I think there's a parallel
Yeah.
kind of space.
I told you Eddie would come downstairs at some
Oh,
point.
well, so now I know you actually are in the same
Yeah,
house.
Yeah.
Landis has confirmation that we're in different rooms of the same house as the cat has traveled between us. So, I know we're going to talk about the hunting accident because
Okay.
I finally read it and Kelly actually reread it. But I know that you've done stuff since then. So do you want to tell people what they should be looking at, and if and both give Kelly and I a reading list, and some of them we have already and we'll
Okay.
probably chime in.
Sure, sure.
So
Yeah,
what's new and cool, Landis?
well, well, the newest thing, it's not quite out yet. It comes out early October. Actually, this is what behind me on the wall, these illustrations for, but it's from a book that's coming. It's called I can't pronounce it because it's in French, but Vers le Sud. It's coming out in France, and the translation of the title is Going South. And so it's a silent story. There's no text, and so I mean, so I didn't have to. Yeah, so the only thing that had to be translated was the title, but hopefully it'll be available in the States at some point in the next year or so. But so that is the absolute latest thing. But earlier this year, I released a children's book that I wrote and illustrated. So that was a new experience, kind of going away more from comics, but it was a good exploration. And then before that, the project that was right after the hunting accident was the Envious Siblings and Other Morbid Nursery Rhymes. And yes, you got that one there. So, so that one was a very special project. So,
Yeah. So
Was the
talk to me
children's
a
book
little.
The Night Tent?
yes, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mention the name. Yeah, the Night Tent, and that came out earlier this year. So,
So, oh, this looks beautiful. It's like just looking at the front cover, it feels like halfway between Sendak and Gory.
oh, thank you. That's a very.
And
I
I didn't even get to the part where it says Blair serves as a gentler take on Where the Wild Things Are. I was just looking at the picture.
well, I'm glad you got it without even the
Yeah.
yeah, reading that part. So,
I mean, I'd be buying this for myself anyway, but I have grandchildren, so now I really need this.
oh, okay,
Yeah. Kelly,
great.
we're gonna have to track this down.
Yeah.
Probably two copies. One to send home with the grandkids and one to have here should they ever like visit again. They're afraid of the dog.
Oh,
And we don't manage to line up our schedules that well.
oh, wait, with the dog or with?
No, with the grandkids and my son.
Oh, okay, okay.
But yeah, no, actually it was hilarious. The last time I saw them, my grandson Jude, who's 4, said, say hi to Eddie, the cat, and say hi to Matt, who's the older cat, but don't tell Potato that I was talking to them because I, I'm
Our
scared.
dog's name is Potato.
Oh,
Right. Yeah, don't tell Potato because I'm scared of dogs.
oh, wait. Okay, now I'm curious about the logic of the cats have very human names, and then potato.
Well, actually, there is a tied logic. It
Oh, okay.
started with Kelly. It started with Kelly because this is Edgar Gala Apple.
Oh,
Matt doesn't count because Matt I named before I jumped on Kelly's name scheme, so he's actually named after Matrim Cawthon and the Wheel of Time.
oh,
But our other cat is Giuseppe Avocado. and Kelly had a dog named Salvador Baloney.
Ah,
So
okay,
are
okay.
you seeing the theme yet?
I think I'm starting to see the theme. They
Okay.
all have a human name and it's probably more specific, but there's a food element and a or no, am I missing
Yeah.
it?
No,
Well,
you're
no, it's
good.
an artist element.
Yeah.
Yeah, an
I'm an
artist
Oh,
and
art
a food.
see,
teacher and I love
Right.
art history, so I
Right.
incorporate art history and then just food because it's funny.
it is
Right. Right. So Salvador was our baby, and
right.
well, really Kelly's baby, because by the time I met Kelly, how old was Salvador? He's probably already
Um,
8.
8, yeah, 8 or 9. He was
Yeah.
a dog.
Okay.
Yeah. So Salvador was already 8 or 9 when I met Kelly. So when he passed away, it was really sad for both of us. And
Ah,
I know that she just likes playing with dogs. So I saw that there was like a shelter event at like a real estate place. So I'm like, let's just go play with the dogs. Um, and this dog that they named Chip saw me as a mark and just immediately became my friend. And I'm not the dog person. So the fact that he decided I was his mark is
yeah.
just weird.
Okay.
um, and Kelly wasn't ready for a new dog, but I like fell in love. So we had to go see him at the shelter the next day. And at the shelter, what was the you tell this part better than I do. I'm out playing with Chip and she's inside talking to, was it an old guy? Who was it?
Yeah, so the guy who was at the front desk, he just kept saying how much fun my husband and the dog were having and how he just looks so happy and he's a senior dog and he's probably just going to get passed over and just trying to
That senior
sucker
dog and
me into
passed
it.
over was the sucker for Kelly.
Right. Like rolled my eyes like, "Argh," I guess. So
Right. But she didn't like the name Chip. I didn't really like the name Chip either. But Salvador's favorite food,
Yeah.
like like you opened the bag within a mile of him and he would come running, was
Okay.
barbecue baked potato chips.
Ah,
So we went with barbecue baked potato chip. And we were going to call him Potato. And then I said, wait a minute, we need an artist.
you need an artist, yeah.
So his full name, right? So his full name, and we went in reverse. We went with the last name from an artist,
Okay.
actually kind of a first and last name, though also a pseudonym. Um, his full name is Barbecue Baked Potato Chip Zadarsky.
Okay. Wow.
yeah, the full name doesn't
Yeah,
come out very often. So
no. Though she did reach out to Chip and
I did.
send a picture and he thought it was hilarious.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
I'm,
So back to you. So
Yeah.
the French book,
Yeah, this
The
is how
Going
our
South,
podcast works. We tell random stories.
yeah,
this is
The
great.
Going South, is that something that you're just illustrating for? Did you write the book or did they have the story already
Uh,
ready for you?
No, I wrote the story too, but it's what was great about this project is that it's this publisher has been putting out a series of book. I don't know if have you ever heard of the printmaker Franz Mazariel from the early
Hmm.
20th century?
Of course she
Yep.
has. I haven't, but of course she
I'm a
has.
printmaker. That was my
Oh, yes.
major in
No,
college. So
okay. Well, so his wordless novels that he started, the first one he did was called I think the 25 Images of Man, or so it was 25 black and white prints telling a story. And this publisher in France, they put out a lot of books or are reissuing a lot of Mazariel books, and this publisher really likes that artist, and so he started this series where he's essentially he challenges different comic artists to do their own story, black and white, 25 images, no words. And so my book is the 6th in this series of, and I don't know, I mean, I think it's just going to keep going. I don't think he has a set number he wants to do. So it's kind of, so the only constraint. I mean, those are the only constraints I had then. But then I could do whatever story I wanted to within those constraints.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you know who Lind Ward is too.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely.
He's one of my favorite as well. So that just reminded me of that. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
That's such a cool idea to
What
put that work
what's
together and make it into a
yeah,
kind of
what's
more
the
of
French publisher?
It's called Martin de Halu, I think. But the first book in the series was done by Thomas Ott. I don't know if you know the scratchboard artist. And then also Nina Bunjevec, she did one, and then the one that just came out is Jacques Tardy did.
Oh, I love Tardy.
So it's neat seeing. I just love that this publisher is leaning into. I mean, in my opinion, some of the best art comes out of having a lot of constraints, and that within, I mean, that sparks creativity more than anything. I think is when you have very specific requirements, or what people might think of like, oh no, you're putting me into a box, but that's where you're able to actually come up with stuff that you never would have even considered, because you wouldn't have with an expansive view of everything you can do. You don't delve into I think these obscure corners that out of which some of the most interesting art comes. But
yeah, amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have you email me the publisher stuff.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
I feel a Christmas present or two coming on, particularly because if they don't have words, it doesn't really matter what country they were published in.
Nope.
Though I have started messing around with foreign comics and Google Translate sometimes, just because.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just because with comics, I mean, yeah, no, if you can get the words like the way they're intended to, that's better. But with comics, the pictures do a lot of heavy lifting. So if you can get a feeling for the words, you can often read some cool stories that just haven't been translated.
Well, and that was actually an interesting process, even though I was just observing more from the outside. But when The Hunting Accident came out in France, I mean, I met the translator a couple times. But I mean, she was working more directly with David Carlson as the writer of the book. But
right.
A conversation I had with her, this was the first graphic novel or any form of comics that she had translated. She's translated a bunch of novels, nonfiction books, etc. Oh, she actually translated the Night Tent too into France, so that was exciting that she.
Okay.
But she was telling me the biggest challenge she had with translating into with comics is that French. She said in general, when she's translating a book or anyone's translating a book, tends to be about 20% longer than the English, page count wise, than the English. And so normally, I mean, that's not a problem with translating a novel, because they can print as many pages. But with the comics, that the challenge was, how do you reduce and still fit within the panels,
the word balloon,
but keep the same essence of the comics. So
yeah, no, I imagine that's got to be a real challenge anytime you're translating comics, is how do you translate for meaning and hopefully without giving up the beauty of the language. While also maintaining the artistic requirements, because if it takes more words in one language than another, it's not like you want to just suddenly use up more of the panel.
Right.
I mean, I imagine in some ways it's a little bit easier in the digital age, where it's the word balloons tend to be separate layers, and therefore you can actually word balloon letter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just thinking randomly out loud right now. Kelly's looking at me. She's like, I know this line of, not this line of reasoning, but this look on Tad's face. And it's not good for radio, right?
I I guess I'm here for the artistic aspect of everything. My question is, you do your hatching and cross hatching and stippling and scumpling and all of that. So do you have a background as a printmaker, or did you just go straight into drawing?
Uh, yeah, I don't have a background in printmaking. That's something that at some point I hope to be able to explore. But my background was, I mean, I went to art school, but I just studied general fine art and mostly did figurative painting and drawing. I mean, that was kind of the concentration I chose. But I didn't take any illustration classes or comics classes or anything. That all came much later, which I mean, I think that's why it's I came about in a very, very kind of strange path getting there, and it's not something that you set out trying to seek, and so because of that, I think that's, I mean, honestly, I think that's why The Hunting Accident ended up getting made, or why I got to end up illustrating it, is because the writer was looking for something unique, and he had a number of other artists he was talking to, and even did test pages that were more traditional comic artists. And I saw some of the pages when they brought me in to interview me, and I was sure they were going to give it to these other people, because they were so much better, in my opinion, than what I did.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I just mean, so I think there is when you're talking about printmaking, and Lind Ward, especially with his the wood engravings, or there's a level of precision and just knowledge of the physical materials and the technical skill of, I mean, as you know, as a printmaker, that there's such a high bar, I feel like, of knowledge, that in order to do it well, and because of that, there's I feel like you're able to do well. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that I feel like when I come at it with comics, that there's a strong naivete with what I'm doing, especially with the Hunting Accident. I had no idea what I was doing, so it's yeah. I want some time to go to learn more about the materials, and because I feel like even with pens and paper, I've sort of just cobbled things together and figured out what kind of is working. But then I've learned a lot since then about what I shouldn't have done and what I should do differently. But it feels like I'm still kind of wandering around.
It's so funny you say that, because to me, your art looks so tight in that book. It's just like the way it all works together, it just looks so clean and tight. And I was just admiring last night when I was going through it again, like the big backgrounds that are so dark, the value is so dark, and how long it had to take to do all that hatching and cross hatching. And so to me, I mean, I don't feel like you stumbled through it at all. I was just, I mean, as soon as I started reading it, I was just in love with it, because the artwork is just so amazing. And I mean, I love a good cross hatching. So it's pretty amazing.
Thank you. Well, you kind of, I mean, I realize that I fixate on the mistakes, et cetera, but when you say the amount of time that goes into it, that's honestly one of the reasons I do so much cross hatching, is it's a kind of anxiety reduction strategy, because
Right.
I'm not confident about the drawing itself, and I worry that everyone else sees how bad the drawing is. But if, like you just said, when you turn the page and there's a whole page of cross hatching, then at least I feel comfortable showing it to people, because they can say, well, at least they spent a lot of time on this. They didn't. It's not. So.
Yeah. I guess to me, it's the texture. The texture is just so beautiful for it. It just really reflects in the prison, it's supposed to reflect how dirty it is, and how, miserable, and even like the parts when you were drawing, just how hell would look, and it just all worked together really, really well. Yeah, it's so fun to talk to people about how their art is, because I was trying to tell my students this, because I'm an art teacher. Like, most artists don't like their own art. I'm just going to tell you that right now. And they always think I'm crazy. And I'm like, no,
No.
it's true. It's really, really true. So
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm assuming like with your hatching and cross hatching, I mean, it's almost kind of like Zen tangles. I mean, I have my students do that sometimes, but it's just so relaxing. I
Yeah.
watch your videos on Instagram of you just drawing, like
Oh, yeah.
just doing your hatching and cross hatching. And to me, I'm like, it's just so mesmerizing and cathartic just to watch it. I'm sure it is for you too.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. That's that's definitely the part I enjoy the most with the drawing. I mean, it's because you can kind of shut your brain off. At least for me, it somehow eases that anxiety of having to do something. I don't feel like I'm having to pull something new out creatively. That it's okay. I have this large space that needs to be covered, and yeah, I mean there needs to be variation. I mean whatever the problem it is, I'm able to. It relaxes my brain somehow. Like I can. So
No,
I check out almost slightly a little bit, and that is a great.
yep. I totally get that. Completely get that. I tend to in the beginning when I was first learning to do art in college and high school and that I did mainly just like pencil sketches, pencil drawings, realistic animals. And it's just you zone out and you're just stuck in that. Everything else kind of goes away.
Yes.
Which has its good and bad things.
Well, it does. That's what because I feel like that's I mean maybe talk related back to what I was saying about the constraints of you creating creativity. I do worry with the cross hatching specifically for myself that it's become such of a. I see it almost as a crutch, in that I will. I specifically notice myself avoiding drawing certain things because I think, oh, this doesn't lend itself well to me doing tons of cross hatching, and so I feel like I'm almost steering myself into an easy path where I'm just kind of obsessed about the hatching and not actually worried about the drawing or coming up with a better idea. It's definitely something I worry about.
Well, I think a lot of artists have to do that. So for instance, I do a lot of screen printing and lino cuts, and my husband will have these grand ideas to do things on t-shirts. And in my mind, I have to think about the shading and the value before I can think about anything else, or else it's not going to work. So I think it's just something you have to do. You have to think of every aspect. And a lot of times it's that, the black and white. I was just admiring, if I'm going to throw out an art term, the chiaroscuro of all of your artwork. It was just like how intense the contrast is. And you need to have that, especially when you're cross hatching, and all of that. It's just, it's beautiful.
Thank you. I mean, with the chiaroscuro, I mean, that's actually something that I think that's also another. I'm glad you see it in there, but that's for me, that is a problem I have with overhatching. That it frequently whenever I start a new drawing, I will tell myself, no, I'm gonna leave a lot of space, and I'm gonna be, because when I look at the drawings and the artwork I like, even if there's a lot of hatching, there's a bunch of white space, it bouncing out, and I go into drawings frequently with that intention, thinking, no, I need to keep it simple and fresh, and then before I know it, I've covered too much art. I've gone too dark, and
I don't know. I like the dark. Especially in this book, it's just the amount of dark it's necessary, especially in this book here, which is really nice. I noticed on a page. Did you draw yourself in the book? Of you playing chess?
Yes, I did.
Is that you?
Yeah,
okay, I thought that was you.
I caught that too.
You caught me.
I was like, that's totally him. That's awesome. I'm glad you did that. So do you have, I know you,
super cool.
I know you kind of have a, you did like the pocket cemetery. I think you have two of them now, right?
Yeah, one just came out.
Do you have like I'm not going to say obsession because that's not the right word. You have a love for death and crime?
I wouldn't say, I mean, crime, no. I mean, that was a a circumstance of that
Okay.
project it lined up with. I mean, I'm not, I don't know, do they say crime junkie or what do people, I mean, I don't
True
listen to
crime
that.
junkie, yeah, because I am one.
Oh, you are? Okay. Okay.
Murderino. She's
Which is
totally a
fine.
murderino.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
yeah, murderino is that's from a different podcast, but yes.
Okay. But yeah, no, I'm
Well,
not.
we can plug that other
We
podcast. She's
could, yeah, they're
very into My
amazing.
Favorite Murder.
My Favorite Murder is an amazing
Okay.
podcast. So.
Yes.
I've heard of that one. I've heard it's good.
They're funny. You don't actually have to be a murderino to enjoy it.
Okay.
But I don't listen to every episode, and I think she's never missed one.
Okay.
I can't wait. They need to go on tour sometime so I can take her out to a live taping. Because then I'll actually be a good husband.
Yeah, then, right?
That's the only thing that'll do it.
So what were you saying about death?
Yeah. So I'm not into crime or horror. People are usually shocked when I tell them I don't actually like horror. With the death, I mean, it's interesting. You said, do I love death?
It's not the best word. Sorry.
No.
I'm not known for my words.
Because I feel like that is a good way to phrase it. In the sense of when I was younger, I mean, death was always everybody is scared of it and think about it, but I think I probably thought about it a little too much. But that was from a background of highly fundamentalist Christian upbringing, and there was a lot of fear associated from not from the death itself, but what came after. And through that, though, I started. I mean, this emerged in college when I noticed that the artwork I was producing, it had some connection to death, or I was drawn to that. I didn't know why, and so I was just exploring whether it was painting older paintings of old people I met, and there was something symbolic about that. And I started going to cemeteries then. I mean, not nearly as much as I do now, but there was a. But the fascination.
You're in a good city for cemeteries.
Yeah, I am.
There are a lot of great cemeteries in Chicago.
But at that point, it was more strictly from the fear of it that I was kind of exploring around it, and it wasn't until I don't know, mid-20s or so that started shifting into a more. I mean, this also it honestly dovetails with me leaving the church and how my worldview was shifting. But
see, I'm still blown away when you say mid-20s, because Kelly did explain to me that you're closer to our age, but I look at you and I'm like, back in your mid-20s, like yesterday.
Yeah, you do look very young. It's a good thing.
If you told me you were 25, I wouldn't argue with you, and I wouldn't think too hard about how old that would make you when you drew the hunting accident.
No, I just celebrated my 40th birthday a few weeks ago. So, yeah, so thank you. I appreciate it.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Waukegan.
Oh, okay.
Around here, yeah.
Home of Ray Bradbury, and so
Yep.
that's about all. I mean, that's not the only good thing, but that's
well, I just have to ask because knowing that you're in the Chicagoland area, I grew up in Wheaton, which is like the home base of most of the crazy Christians.
Yes.
In the Chicagoland area. So I just had to touch base and make certain that you weren't like at Wheaton Christian Grammar or something, and we just never crossed paths because you were in the
no, I was at a different Christian school up north,
right?
But so now that the death though is it's much more in. I mean, yes, there's still definitely fear, but it's from the aspect of memento mori, and you're trying to seize the. I mean, I've had a lot of involvement with this group called the Order of the Good Death, and I've collaborated with them and done a lot of projects with them. And the whole purpose of the group is to means collective. It's a collective of artists and funeral professionals and academics that death plays into their work in some capacity. And so essentially looking at our current culture and how much of modern society is about death denial, especially in the wealthier countries of the world, that it's kind of ridiculous the extent we go to avoid thinking about death and pretending like we are, or acting like we are immortal.
And Kelly, they have a podcast, Death in the Afternoon. It sounds like a very Kelly podcast.
It does sound really good.
Yeah, so it's more from that aspect of it, the idea being like, if we can, death is a part of everybody's life, and right. It's a relatively modern thing that we have been able to excuse ourselves from having to interact with it frequently, and so the whole way that the American funeral industry is set up, that it's we are so distant from the body, and there's not any of this the natural process of grieving and letting someone go. If you're actually washing your father's corpse and dressing them for the funeral, and they're in the house for a few days, there's something. I'm not saying you need that to properly grieve, right. But if when somebody dies, they are immediately swept off to the funeral home as if it's an emergency, and you don't see them again for 5 days, and then they're embalmed, and they don't look like what they are.
For a lot of people, it then also becomes a financial crisis.
Yes, exactly.
Rather than being able to grieve, they're having to figure out how to pay for it all.
Yes, that's another massive.
I worked in senior care for a long time.
Okay.
I could go down so many rabbit holes. But yeah, no, I mean, aside from the post-death aspects, I think there's so many wonderful, wonderful things about modern medicine. So don't ever take this as me thinking that. But I think that sometimes because of that, families hang on to this idea that as long as they can keep them alive, there's some hope that they'll get them back.
Yeah, I agree.
I worked dementia care in particular, and we could do a whole podcast on dementia care, and maybe sometime I'll have Paca Roca on to talk wrinkles or something. But something that always struck me was when they were doing these like extraordinary things to keep people alive that were miserable.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
I get the argument about assisted suicide, though. I fall on the less popular side of it.
Yeah, so do I.
But I at least get it, right? That there's so much room for abuse. There's so much, and frankly, the disease that I'd most want to say end me, if I ever had Alzheimer's, is like, please just. But at the same time, that means you're not really in a position to give consent to, so it gets messy. I get that. But what I don't get is when you're already a shell of who you were.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, let's do this incredibly intrusive surgery that's going to lessen their physical health or physical capability even more.
Yeah.
To extend this life.
Yeah.
That isn't really living. Yeah. I saw you did illustrations for a book, Traveling the World to Find the Good Death.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's similar or the same thing as what you were talking about.
Yes. Yeah. The author of that, Caitlin Doty, she's the one who founded the Order of the Good Death. So she's a mortician, and she has a YouTube channel called Ask a Mortician that where she discusses all aspects of the funeral industry. There's hundreds of videos up there, but yeah, that was a project where she went around the world uh, exploring and examining different death customs, as well as new ideas that are emerging. I mean, in the States, but like trying to understand the different rituals around it, and what essentially just putting into dramatic relief how awful and messed up the funeral industry is right now.
Right.
But I mean, her first book, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, is also incredible. But that's more of a memoir of how she got into doing this advocacy that she does. So
okay, it looks like a really good book. I definitely need to read it.
Her third book is, I mean, well, her writing is very funny. So I mean, so even though it's talking about death, there's a strong humorous side to it. But the third book is Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs, and other questions that children have asked her about death. And so
that's hilarious, because I actually had I teach elementary art, and I had a student, we were talking about our pets, and I had a student say, we can't have cats in our house because they'll eat you when you die.
That's right. I wonder if they read that book.
Hey.
Yeah.
So that's not something they teach you in college.
No. Well, in
funny.
The dogs, I mean, this is a complete tangent, but from my understanding of that, when the dogs eat the owner, or bits of the face or something, that it's more because of I mean, this is from Caitlin, so that it's an anxiety thing where their master is dead, and they're not responsive, and so they might even be like licking the face trying to wake them up, and then accidentally nick them and get this little blood or something, and then or just nervous kind of. Whereas cats are much more like, okay, you're not moving anymore. There's
all right, free food. Yeah. So I love your little book too. Speaking of pets, we can take a little turn here. Your Sartorial Beasts.
Yeah.
That's such a cute book. Yeah. I absolutely love it. It's just adorable. And I noticed you do a lot of like pet portraits, especially you do pet portraits of pets that are deceased. So do you have a huge love of animals, or?
I mean, I do like them, but I don't have any pets. I mean, right now, I'm not for a long time. I'm not allowed in this apartment, but someday. But I grew up with a dog I was very fond of, and then I had cats for a chunk of my life, and I became a cat person. But so I like them. I just don't.
Awesome. Don't get me wrong. I finally decided that dogs are a little bit better than okay, but cats are awesome.
But the pet portraits that started through the Order of the Good Death. I did them for a charity event that they had hosted that benefited animal shelters, as well as it was just kind of a fun night where it was all related to death and pets, and there was a pet funeral home there that did water cremation or aquamation for pets, and there was a photographer there giving a talk about he has a lot of photos of, well, it doesn't matter, but I did 25 of these pet portraits for the event, and then they were so popular that I kept doing them afterwards, and I've now been doing them for about 6 years, and it's surprising how.
See, this is another place where you and Kelly have something in common, because she regularly gets commissioned by friends or family when their pets die to draw pictures of the deceased.
Yeah.
I keep convincing her that this is a real thing that people want.
Yeah.
And she can't be convinced to start an Etsy store or anything like that, because she's like, why would she's got that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Why would anyone want me to draw them? Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. I guess I always think animals I find easier to draw than humans. I struggle drawing humans. I don't think I do great with them, but animals I have no problem with.
That's why Stan Sakai says Usagi is a rabbit.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
It has as much or more to do with the fact that he was more confident in drawing a rabbit. He knew he wanted to tell samurai stories. At least that's what I've heard. I read the interview long ago. So if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, Stan. Please come talk to us anyway. But I know it's easier to read as a rabbit because even like, we'll come back to Landis in a second. I promise. I know we're plugging your work by talking about other people's stuff, but I love Usagi Yojimbo. I also love Lone Wolf and Cub, but I
Oh,
actually can follow fight sequences better in Usagi than in
mm,
Lone Wolf because, particularly with everything black and white, you got to
yeah,
like really dig in. Okay, which guy is which in the Lone Wolf and Cub sequence? Whereas in Usagi, it's like you got the rabbit, you got the rhinoceros, you got the wolf. You know, it's no problem.
yeah, yeah. It keeps it visually easy. Yeah.
So
Well, and
go ahead.
I mean, I think that yeah, as far as the drawing it, what were you saying that at least in my opinion on it is that just that we're so attuned to the human face that we would just that we notice every single I mean we've evolutionarily adapted specifically to read human faces uh, at a highly fine fine point as opposed to animals. It's not that we can't recognize them, but I mean honestly with the pet portraits because I'm relying on photos that people are sending me of their pets, and if sometimes they don't have very good photos, and if
Mhm.
the pet's dead, they can't get more photos, or sometimes they're giving me this pet's been dead for 20 years, and they're digging out old snapshots,
Old
and so that
Polaroids.
yeah, but that I've found that because of I can always search for that breed of dog or that kind of
Mhm.
cat, and I find something similar. And what I've noticed, I mean, just like when people buy little curios or trinkets with dogs or cats on it, and they see one that has slightly colored like their dog, or if it's just the breed, and that I mean, I remember this as a boy, even like you just immediately connect to it. Oh, this is my dog, and so
See
my
that
opinion
that
is,
went a much better place than immediately
oh,
went in my head when you said when people buy. I thought you were going to go into just like when people go buy the replacement pet when the dog dies and they don't want the kid to know. That one looks about the same.
yeah, yeah, that disturbs me a bit. Yeah, when they do that. But
Right.
yeah, I think if it looks reasonably like the pet and it has the pet's name actually
Yeah.
on it too, I mean, I think I think I get away with a lot of sins because of that. So
That's good.
So I'm gonna circle back a little bit here.
yeah,
Um, the hunting accident, it wasn't your first work. You've done
it was the
did you
first major work. I mean, I
it was
did it.
definitely the first major work, but what had you done at that point? Because you talked about seeing other people's work going into it when you auditioned for it. So what had you done going? And I promise this is like I have a string of questions. I just want to start here. Where
Yeah,
what had you done?
I mean, at that point, it was just some independent, self-published books, my kind of versions of Edward Gorey stories.
Okay.
Uh, and so the reason that the author found me was that the first real comic convention I did was at well, it used to be called Wizard World, but in
Okay.
Chicago, and I was there splitting a table with somebody and selling these self-published into little books, and the author of The Hunting Accident was going through looking for an illustrator, and we didn't talk at the event, but or, I mean at the comic convention, but he took one of my cards and reached out to me. So he was basing
Okay.
it off of this postcard he took off my table, as well as these dark little picture books that I had on the table.
Do you
So
remember which one? I mean, is it stuff that's still available?
some of it, most of it's not, but the progressive problem was the first
Okay.
real one. I mean, that's a
Yeah, I was looking at Progressive Problem on your website and thinking that
that, yeah,
that's
that one I
and
reprinted,
the
so
Regressive
I have
Solution.
yeah. um I think that actually
Those
might
might be on
go.
my Christmas list, Kelly.
But yeah, I think the Progressive Problem is the only one that I still have copies that I'm selling. I mean, that aren't
Okay.
kind of my archive copies, but
Right. Right.
um, and at this point too, that the other ones from that period when I look at, I shudder so much at the, the quality that I'm glad that
I
they're
mean, this
available.
feeds into to where I think I was going. So at that point, you'd done very gory-esque, where it was
Hmm.
one panel pages,
Yeah, yeah.
no word balloons, whatnot. Um, and then suddenly you've got a 400-page product handed to you. And I mean, you did really well at like the comic stuff.
Thank you.
Your page layouts are brilliant.
Thank you.
Um, your decisions on lighting, your decisions on where to put text. I'm assuming that the Braille is actually Braille because you just seem like the type that wouldn't put random dots in it. I'm certain that every time there's Braille in the background, it's spelling something. Um,
Yeah.
at some point, I will be the geeky guy that goes and tries to translate it all.
Well, you'll probably look like a you know automatic foreign translation is probably what it'll look like to you.
And I get that.
But
Um, but
yeah.
so I mean, talk to me about how in the course of this project you jumped from the Edward Gorey single page panels, text underneath storytelling to, I mean, again, the number of different conceits that you weave in fantastically, from the paper doll to the text and dialogue almost smoke like in places,
Mm.
the when they're talking about the book, you've got the whole thing in silhouette.
Mm.
um these are some really impressive decisions. So I guess I've got a twofold thing.
Okay.
um I don't actually really know the writer either, so I don't know if he's done other comic work. I mean, was this something where he sat down and he told you certain things he wanted, or did he have a script that he gave you? um how did you go about composing it? Were you a major comic guy? Were there things you leaned on? I mean, this is a million questions at
A lot of
once, so just
questions. Yeah.
start going and I'll
Okay. Uh,
follow up, or Kelly will, or whatever.
well, I think you're starting to you're asking the questions of which I hope my answer before makes more sense, where I was sure they weren't going to give me the job. Uh, but ultimately the reason how this all happened, uh, I mean, well, a couple things, but it really came down to ignorance on all sides, and I mean that from the standpoint of, I mean, I liked comics, but I was not really big into comics. I mean, I had been reading more of them in the years leading up to that, but it wasn't something that was a major part of my life. Or I mean, aside from like reading, I mean, yeah, I definitely read comics as a kid, but it wasn't. I wasn't reading. Well, I wasn't allowed to read Marvel comics or DC comics or things like it. It was, it was Archie or Calvin and Hobbes or
So,
Peanuts. Or,
so you weren't even managing to pull the like Craig Thompson and
no, that Craig Thompson was a big. I mean, but that was when I read Craig Thompson for the first time in the middle of when I was leaving the church, and so that was Blankets was had a
Blankets.
huge impact on me, and then Habibi.
Yeah,
It just
so
I
good.
couldn't believe what I was looking at every time I turned the page. Just the amount of work and so actually, I mean, so when I say ignorance, I didn't know what I was doing David Carlson, the writer, he had never written a comic before. He didn't know what he was doing. And so because of that, it was this ambitious project that the reason he was wanting to make a comic was he had written a film script. He was wanting to make this as a movie.
Okay.
And his idea was if he did it as a comic, he could use it as a storyboard essentially to help pitch this
movie.
And so what he gave me was a film script. And so what was great about him there was a lot of great things. It was ended up being an incredible collaboration, but he really wanted my vision on the story because he had put all of himself into the script. And so the first couple months when I was working on this, I mostly spent it to myself going through his movie script, and I did thumbnails of the whole book. And then we came together after we had that, and we he left in a lot of, like, he basically kind of let me do whatever I wanted to creatively initially. And what's interesting is that a lot of the more interesting pages visually are pretty similar to those original thumbnails. I mean, some definitely changed, but after we had all these thumbnails, I then started going into the studio that he had, and we blew up all the thumbnails large size, and it was this large room, and we put storyboards up, and we spent a few months just every day, like, walking through the story and like reading it together, and like putting post-it notes on like certain themes, and like visually then seeing, oh wait, there's been a while since there's a pink post-it note, maybe we should insert something here. And so the project was able to, it naturally evolved.
Yeah, that's like way more collaborative than you normally hear. I've talked to some teams that are really collaborative, and that's still.
Yeah,
but some of it is clearly that he had the space to do it, because
he did.
There are some teams that would like to be that collaborative, but they're like, you had a space where you could blow up your thumbnails and walk around.
I know.
I have a corner.
yeah, exactly. No, it was a special time, but it also so it wasn't supposed to be 450 pages. Like, it was when I came onto the project, he was telling me it would be a 6-month project, and that maybe up to 200 pages, and it quickly spiraled out of control, and ended up being 3 years of work. And but because of that, because he had secured funding for this, and because neither of us knew what we were doing, it was he essentially, I'm never going to get this kind of special arrangement again, where they were paying me enough that specifically that they didn't want me to be doing other work. Because originally when they took me on, I was still keeping this part-time gallery job I had, because I was thinking, and when they found that out, they said, wait, no. They said, well, we'll pay you more to, like, if you get rid of that gallery job, we don't.
Those words don't get said very often in this industry.
No.
I mean, I know at this point that you hang with some of the like indie comics royalty in Chicago. I'm certain that they've told you that those words don't get said very often.
No. But I've told other people that, like, what the arrangement was. That's what I realized. And this only happened because neither of us knew what we were doing, and that we didn't know how it was supposed to work. And so
clearly neither did they.
No,
agreed. The only thing I can think of that's even similar is when we were talking to Elsa Chartier, one of her first big work for hire gigs was adapting a George R.R. Martin book.
Okay.
I forget what it was right now, but anyway, they asked her for a page rate, and she gave them one that she later found out was like double what somebody in her position would normally give. But they didn't bat an eyelash; they just paid it.
Yeah.
So she's refused to work for less than that ever since.
Okay, that's
because she can say, nope, that's
the rate.
That's my rate.
Yeah. Well, and I don't mean to make it this sound all too. What the wonderful thing about this project was that they, because they had funding. I mean, it wasn't. I I became really close friends with the author, and I mean we're still close friends. And essentially it allowed this scenario, it allowed the project to grow naturally into whatever it was meant to be. I mean, because we often tell each other that, or we've said that at some point the story, it felt like it started telling itself, because and we were working so closely together over those first few months that he was suggesting things visually, and then I would be suggesting things text, and we can't keep straight a lot of what all the changes that started emerging, and it became.
See, that's how Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett used to.
Is it okay?
Describe Good Omens, because it was like the early days of the internet, so it'd take like an hour to send the text back and forth between each other. And they said they'd know a scene was done when they couldn't remember who did what.
Yes. I love that. That's great. Yeah, because then it's the story is taking precedent at that point, and that's I think that's I think that's difficult. I mean, you can't really do that nearly to that extent on your own. I mean, I'm sure there's maybe some people who can distance themselves, but I don't think so. I think that's it's but I mean, I think the factor there is, finding a collaborator that you actually can do that with, and that I don't know if I've had other good collaborations, but I think I got really lucky on that one with all these elements coming together at the right time.
It just sounds like and I'm very glad that you acknowledged the luck aspect.
Oh yeah, there was a whole lot of luck. I shouldn't have even been at that comic convention. I got in last minute because somebody I just met at the first cake. Chicago, and I talked to this guy, and I was friendly. I was having a good time talking to him because I was trying to figure out how do I start this, and then it was a couple months later when Wizard World was happening, and he was tabling with another friend, and that friend pulled out, and so kind of last minute he contacted me and said, "Hey, would you want to table with me?" And I said, "Yeah, that's great."
See, I don't know if you ever watched David Letterman's My Next Guest Needs No Introduction, the Netflix series he did.
No.
So his very first interview was Barack Obama.
Oh.
And the part that I loved the most was at the end, Barack flipped it over on him.
Yeah.
And he said, and he's like, I don't want to take anything away from your talent and your hard work and whatnot, but how much of where you are in the world do you attribute to luck?
And
Letterman just immediately went, "Oh, all of it."
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
And Obama immediately agreed with him, because and I think it's important to be willing to acknowledge that, because there's such a narrative in this country for certain, but in a lot of the world, that all it takes is hard work and or talent, and then everybody who succeeds clearly is just better.
Yeah,
and that's just really not true.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion on it is that you can't control it. What you can control, though, is spending that time on
when you see the opportunity, taking it.
If you're not, the opportunities won't be there if you're like, no one's going to just hand you an opportunity without seeing any reason to give you that opportunity. So the best you can do is just keep.
You can't sit back and count on luck. The hard work is necessary.
Well, and I think
go ahead.
Oh, just that I tell people this. Younger people trying at comic conventions when they come up and ask about trying to get into it, and I always tell them that the most important thing you can do is just keep developing a tenacity for your craft, and no matter what, be working or finding something you want to work on, because it's even if you don't have, if you don't, I mean, I don't like the term talent. I mean, that's another conversation, but it's
Right.
no matter what, like if you don't stop writing or playing music or drawing or whatever it is, by default, you're not going to get worse. So put it that way. And
Right.
Over 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, the vast majority of your peers or other people who have started those things have at some point give it up. And so just the fact of you not giving it up, that you are going to slowly rise up into the available, viable options for when an opportunity does come. It's, yeah, I mean, it's, you can't be doing it in starts and stuff. I mean, like that, at least in my opinion, like that's the best thing you can do for yourself, is just consistently keep doing something towards that end goal.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Now, I, as I'm watching the clock and knowing that got like 20 minutes,
okay,
I can ramble. So, but I wanted to bring this up just because I like to, and knowing now that you maybe aren't the same level of comics fanboy that a lot of creators are, it might not have like meant anything to you. But I actually saw a moment at Cake this year that just I'm sitting there going, for so many creators, this would be the most surreal moment ever. And it was a surreal moment for me just watching it, because you had a table next to Megan Kelso,
mm-hmm.
who clearly didn't know you yet.
Right.
And I don't know if you knew her.
I didn't.
But I was there when Eddie Campbell came over to introduce Megan Kelso to you. And I'm sitting there going, people can't see what I'm doing. I'm moving my hands just completely neurotically because I mean, because it's something I think about a lot with the podcast, is I wind up interviewing and sometimes even befriending people that are among, I don't like to use the word heroes necessarily, because it's a weird word to use for the people whose art you enjoy versus the people whose lives you emulate. Yes. I mean, some of them have become my heroes because I now want to emulate their lives as well as but like my artistic giants, so many of my artistic giants I've now gotten to meet and spend time with, and some of them I even text regularly or hang out with when we're in the same cities, that sort of thing. And it never gets old, and it never quite, well, no, in the moment it feels real. Like in the moment I'll completely forget, but then like I'll be driving home and it's like, I just had dinner with boom boom boom. What the hell happened to my life? So Mike, and it might be nothing to you again, though I assume that you've gotten more into comics at this point.
Yes.
Is it ever weird when you've got Eddie Campbell and Audrey Niffenegger and Emil Ferris all happily giving you glowing blurbs on your book? I mean, I caught that and I'm like three of my favorite Chicago people just boom.
No, I mean, the short answer is no, it doesn't get old. But I'm so, it makes me incredibly grateful, and it also makes me, it makes me realize just how I feel grateful for, I mean, knowing them, but also just that it's because I see their work and I see what they do and have done in their careers, and I mean, what you're talking about, kind of fanboying, or like I'm in awe of so much of what, I mean, all three of those that you just said have done. Right. And so realizing, I mean, so meeting them or talking to them, it has it certainly is an affirmation in the sense of I'm even if I don't like my work, they're seeing something that means like I might be on the right track. Kind of like there is definitely an encouragement there, but it's also it feels it makes me feel part of something that it gives me inspiration both for technique wise, but also from that kind of realizing, okay, if they see something in my work, it gives me more motivation to keep kind of plugging away. But Eddie is it's become one of my closest friends.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so he's but
I completely stuck my foot in my mouth talking to Eddie earlier or at Cake this year.
Well,
one day I'll get him on the podcast. You can tell him that I'm actually a nice guy. How about that?
Okay, I'll tell him. But I think you'd appreciate this story just to show you that with Eddie, he's it wasn't the first time because I knew his daughter, and so that's how we got I met him independently of his daughter, but then his daughter passed on his contact information, and I said I'm friends with Haley, etc. Right. But when Eddie agreed to, I asked him if I could get a drink with him, because I found out he was living in Chicago, and so I met him at the Revolution Brewery in Logan Square.
Okay.
But I got there first, and he showed up, and it started raining after I got there, and he showed up, and he had this really nice hat. He always has a great hat on, but the hat was drenched, and he was not happy. Like the hat was ruined. But he sat down, and the hunting accent hadn't come out yet at this point. I had the Kickstarter edition that we had done so it wasn't the full book, but so we went over and we had a drink, and it was very awkward. I'm trying to I'm trying to find a way in, and so he asked me. I brought the copy of the book to show him, and so he sat there at the bar, and he looked at every single page, like leafing through, not saying anything.
Oh God, that must have been so awkward.
It was so awkward. And so he got through the whole book, and he closed it and gave it back to me, and he looked at me and he said you would have been a lot better off if you spent less time cross-hatching and more time learning how to draw.
Oh no. Oh wow.
Oh my God.
But my favorite part about this though is that in my mind, because what I've told you before already early in this podcast, so my insecurity, like that spoken, I was so relieved that he said that, because that's exactly what it was almost like he sees it, he knows, and so it was like this relief. He was not lying to me. But I saw it as a test, like he was testing to see if I'd stick around. and so, and since then, that was I don't know, 7 years ago, and
right.
we get together or talk at least once a week. So it's he's
very cool. It's
become like he's definitely he's a good friend, but also mentor wise. I've learned so much from him about process.
Well, he's
yeah,
he's amazing. Every work he does. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing that we come back to fairly regularly on this podcast, is the biggest difference between comics and so-called fine art is how pretty it is secondary to how well it tells a story in comics.
Yes, yeah.
You don't have to be technically good as an artist if you can tell a story.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And what Chris Ware talks about that, at least I've seen it in one interview where it's the amount of time that the average viewer spends looking at a panel in a comic compared to the amount of time that the artist spends drawing it. It's almost silly that we obsess so much and worry so much, because I notice myself doing it too when I read comics. It's very easy to
what I will say is that a lot of the ones that we go back to
I agree
tend to be I mean, I don't know how much time Fiona Staples spends on Saga, but every time I read it closer.
Yeah, yeah.
Every time I read it, like the first time I read any saga, yeah, I probably spent only so much because the pace was taking me. But now I know what's
Yeah.
going on. So now I start really
Yes.
digging into how did they tell the story, and I start
Yeah, yeah.
noticing the little difference. I can tell you right now, Hunting Accident is not going to be a one-time read for me. It's going to be one of those that I revisit on a somewhat regular basis because I'm going to notice. I mean, I have it open on a random page right now where you've got Leopold sitting him down in it. You can barely see it because it's Leopold sitting
Oh
him
yeah.
down in the chair. And I just realized the motion lines. I don't think
Oh
I caught the motion lines the first time through, but they're brilliant. Because motion lines don't show up the same with your cross hatching as they do on a cleaner panel.
yeah.
But again, I had this literally open to a random page because I had for the most of this podcast been flipping through just the thumbnail view
Oh, okay. Yeah.
so I could just look at your page layouts as something to talk about. So this was just the one that I happened to stop on, and immediately, just at a glance, I went, "Oh my God, that's brilliant!" Because it's not just the motions. You can see that the hands came down from the different angle. It's the type of thing that no, I didn't notice it when I read it initially, but I
Hmm.
guarantee that it influenced me when I read
Oh,
it
okay.
initially.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I mean,
It
I
does.
probably
Yeah.
read the example that I used the most. I don't know if you read Saga.
I mean, I've flipped through it, but I've not actually ever read it.
Saga's totally worth the read, particularly if you like
Okay.
sci-fi at all. But as an artist, it's totally worth the read. And it was probably my sixth or seventh time through that I realized that when there's violence, she skews the panels.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So you pick up on those
I
visuals.
guarantee
Yeah.
you that the entire time I've been reading Saga, it has contributed to, because one of the major themes of Saga is that violence doesn't have a purpose. It doesn't lead to anything but more violence.
Okay.
Right. So I guarantee from the get-go, it had been contributing to the feeling of how off, how unnecessary, how whatever this violence was. But again, it was like the sixth or seventh time through that I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And I noticed it like reading the first volume, and I started taking notes. Oh, yep,
Yeah.
skewed
Okay.
again, skewed again. And finally, it's like, no, every time there's violence,
Yeah.
the panels are crooked.
Yeah. That's great. That's
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things about your work, especially in Hunting Accident and really anything, especially like the um it's escaping me right now, but the children's book, not the Night Tent, but that
the
one. Thank you, the Envious
The
Sibling.
Envious Siblings.
The little things here and there that you're just like, oh my gosh, I didn't notice
Yeah.
this before. It's like
Yeah.
all your tiny little details, and I love tiny little details.
Oh, okay.
That's what
I had to go
I just
back and read the actual Envious Siblings. I had to go back and read it like a second time because
Mhm.
uh I didn't initially catch exactly how much they were doing to each other, and the fact that you managed to have it be cumulative, and what happened in the last panel is still true in the next panel, and just
yeah.
I mean, I kind of knew, but it's so ridiculous, and all of the violence is off screen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see the results, so it's easy to not really catch it right off the bat. I think it was it was Abby envied Angie's eye, plucked it out, and bounced it high. So it was when she bounced the eye up to the bird that I
Yeah.
went, oh God, wait a minute, let me. And I started going back, and I'm like, oh, God. Ah. uh,
I mean,
I love it that you're laughing at your own work, because that also means that you love your. No, I hate it when people write really funny things,
yeah.
and then when they're revisiting it, it doesn't make them laugh, and it's like, you're just over it now.
Well, it's yeah. I think with that especially too, that it's. I mean, those short books. That's what I like about those short. I mean, the little Edward Gorey books, or like that one, that they're inspired by something that amuses me, and
Right.
I don't know really where it's going, but it's more just an exploration of, because I'm amused by it, or this makes me happy in
Right.
some way, and so as opposed to,
Macabre way.
yeah. So I mean, in my mind, the story is, yeah, it's not. I mean, that's the purpose of the story, is to. I mean, ultimately, is to make myself, giggle to some capacity. But
Right.
but
That is
and
good.
that one actually too. I mean, that's another good example of a constraint too, where I recently got the idea for the title story in the Envious Siblings. While I was working on The Hunting Accident, a friend had told me about this arts publication that was doing an issue on envy, and they were taking submissions, and she told me about this and said, if you want to, you might be interested in this. And so for a couple of weeks, I was thinking, I came up with this. I mean, I was just thinking like of a one page, trying to do a simple one page comic, and I did, like, over my lunch breaks on The Hunting Accident, I was kind of doodling some things, and but I didn't have time to actually do it and so when The Hunting Accident was done, I went back to it, and so, but yeah, so it was the same constraint of, okay, what's
Right.
envy, and then trying to think of what's yeah, anyway, but that's,
Yeah. So, are you a big Gory fan?
yes, yeah, he's my biggest hero, so
Have
uh,
you been out to his house on
I
Cape
have,
Cod?
I want to
It's
go back, but
Kelly and I went a few years ago.
okay,
Yeah, yeah, it's so
it's a
That's
cool.
special
great.
place.
Yeah.
Hmm. You have a lot
Well,
of cats.
yes. Well, my favorite part about it was, I mean, I love that they have preserved all of his collections and things, the bookcases, and that I loved walking through, and you see all of the, odds and ends he would collect from garage sales and stuff, and you start recognizing, like, oh, that's, that's this
Hmm.
doorknob that's in, this,
Right.
or you can totally see how his books
Right.
are, you're coming out of this eclectic collection of stuff he's picked up because he probably was just fascinated by it, and he didn't, or he liked the way it looked or something. And
Yeah.
Well, before I let you go, I'm gonna ask my standard closing question. You can make it as closed or open as you like.
okay.
Um, Tell us about a comic that you love that you wish more people knew about,
Ooh.
or multiple comics artists, whatever. Some people immediately jump on, you must read this, and other people are like, oh, that's so hard. There's this artist and this artist and this artist. So however you want to take that, what's a comic that you adore, that
Hmm.
you just wish that you could talk to everybody about?
Uh, let's see. Well, I'm going to just say the first one that came to my mind, just because, so I don't sit here and waste audio time. But the Thomas Ott, who I mentioned earlier, he's in that same
Right.
French series. He did the first book, but the I think it's called Cinema Panopticon, or but it's a collection of short silent stories, but they all sort of link up in the end. Actually, I think I've got
Oh,
it right.
I just realized I read The Forest from him recently.
Yeah, that's the first one in that series of 25
Okay.
pages. And yeah, Fantagraphics then put out the
Fantagraphics did it.
American
So hopefully they'll Cinema Panopticon.
Yeah, it's this way here.
It looks cool.
Yeah, yeah. But so it's all, you know, I don't know if you can even,
That's beautiful.
a lot of beautiful
Yeah.
scratch board, but just kind of
Yeah,
dark.
definitely looks like a Kelly type of book, and unfortunately, it's
Mhm.
really expensive on
Oh,
Amazon
is
right
it?
now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I stumbled upon it actually probably while I was working on the hunting accident in a graphic books in Wicker Park, and I was completely.
Which is definitely a place that I have to go more often, because I know lots of people. When my friend Chris Cantwell was in town, he had to stop himself from buying a whole set of books there, because he's sitting there going, not only can I not spend that kind of money right now, how the hell would I get them back home?
Yeah, yeah,
Good
it's a
for that one.
place.
Well, thank you for the recommendation. That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
right up my alley.
Yeah, no.
but and I guess I would say any books by him. I mean, if you like The Forest too, I mean, I think all of his
Kelly,
books.
did you read The Forest? I know I got it from the library once and thought I recommended it, but
But I think all of his books are silent. At least I've not seen one that has text in it, and
yeah.
it's really visceral storytelling. And because he's doing it with Scratchboard, I feel affinity for it with the cross hatching, but it's fun for me because it's like I'm looking at uh yeah it's approaching it from the opposite angle, and that he's I think it was on a blurb on the back of one of his books, but it's talking about how all of his work is carved out of the shadows, because it starts with the black, and he's or something like that. But it's
Yeah.
Right.
they all have this really evocative atmosphere about that I just love. So.
That's cool.
Looks like Fantagraphics actually did a collection of his stuff in the past, but it's out of print.
Oh,
I still have The Forest available.
We'll find it at some point.
Well, and at this point, I know people in France.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, my podcast, as few listeners as we may have overall, they are international.
Okay, okay.
As have the guests.
That's great. That's wonderful.
So, well, Landis, thank you so much. You're local,
Yes,
so I
thank
may bug you from time to time just
Yeah, please
because
do.
I drag Kelly down for something and say, "Hey, you want to go to an art museum with us?" Um,
Speaking of which, have you seen the Remedios Varos show at the Art Institute?
No, I haven't yet.
I just saw it the other day. It's incredible. I
Okay.
highly
Go there.
recommend. And it's not you don't need a special. There's not a special pass.
Ooh.
It's just with the general admission, so you don't need to worry about
and,
the.
Even better.
and see, she's got her teacher ID, so she doesn't have to
Oh,
worry
yeah.
about the general admission either. So,
That's
Landis,
one of the best exhibits I've seen in a long time. So
Very
I'll
cool.
have to check it out.
Very cool. I look for excuses to get Kelly down to the city, and she is from South Dakota. So we're still getting her over the idea that the city is dangerous and horrible. And she's getting there because she has very many pleasant experiences in the city, but she also has decades of people telling her that cities are dangerous. So thank you so much.
Thank you. This is a pleasure.
I'm so happy that Kelly has pushed me into your work. I mean, the hunting accident had been on my list forever. But then Kelly, I spent a decade trying to get Kelly into comics, and then I brought home from the library a book called Murder Book. My what's the subtitle? My life as a true crime junkie. And before I even read it, she'd read it. And the next thing I knew, every time I turned around, she had another true crime comic that she'd picked up from the library, or she finally realized that I'd been buying her true crime comics. She's like, "Oh, I got to read this. I got to read that."
I'm assuming you've read all the Rick Garys then, or
Yes.
Okay.
I have all of them. Yeah, you're working with him too. So
she's a
beautiful.
big Rick Gary fan.
Oh, okay.
So she got to the hunting accident before I did and was blown away, and then she found you at two different cons.
Yeah,
two different cons that I took her to.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was not only blown away, she's better with names. She went the hunting accident, Landis Blair. There's Landis Blair. I'm like, who's Landis Blair? She's like, the hunting accident. I'm going to talk to him.
No, it's been a pleasure to meet you both, and it
Yes.
makes me happy seeing you at the show and always
Yeah.
talking with you. So
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Yes.
very much. So hold on for a second. We'll take it out and then we'll say our goodbyes. So for Kelly and for Landis Blair, this has been 22 Panels. We will see you after the next page.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22 Panels Podcast.